I hope everybody's feeling great because we've got a lot to discuss when it comes to the future of Ethereum. If that is something close to your heart, be sure to listen closely. My name is Matt. I lead BD for Redstone, which is an Oracle provider. I'll give you a brief introduction to what we do at Redstone in a minute, but before that, I would love our great panelists to introduce themselves today so that everybody can be on the same page. So Mike, why don't we start with you? What's EtherFi? What do you do on the team? How does it work for you guys?
Yeah, sounds good. Hi everyone. My name is Mike. I'm the founder and CEO of EtherFi. EtherFi is the fourth largest crypto protocol by TVL. I guess depending on the day, we're about 7 billion in assets. And we have a suite of integrated products that create effectively a banking alternative for users. So where users are able to save, stake, deposit, deploy their assets in DeFi, and then spend and borrow against their DeFi assets.
Perfect. Sandy, why don't you jump in and tell us something more about Scroll and what do you do on the team?
Yeah, well, it's great to be here. It's great to see so many people. So I'm a co-founder for Scroll, and we've been building for about 4 years now on a holistic blockchain solution that is both secure and performant. We're layer 2 on Ethereum, and we're here to support builders and various financial applications that can increase financial access and using smart contract platforms to build more creative things.
Perfect. And when it comes to Redstone, we are an Oracle provider specializing in yield-bearing collateral for lending markets. And we have been in the trenches when it comes to Ethereum for a couple of years now, actually working with both of our panelists and their protocols, both with EtherFi and Scroll as well. And there's big things coming for us over at Redstone. Probably next week is going to be one of the biggest weeks in the history of the company. So just a little shill from my side, but be sure to stay tuned on that one as well. Follow us on Twitter. Now, that being said, that has been quite a wild year, I would say, for Ethereum, quite a roller coaster in terms of the price action, that's one, the sentiment, that's two, but also the whole discussion that has been happening in terms of the fundamentals of the chain, the ecosystem, in terms of value capture, in terms of the future of what we want to build here. So why don't we start with a simple question? When you open Twitter app and you go and search for Ethereum, the sentiment is pretty bad, I would say, at this point. What's your guys' take, high level? Is it as bad as it seems on the fundamental side of things? Or are we on the right track, but it's just a fad that is just going to fade away quite quickly? Mike, why don't we start with you?
Well, so much of it has to do with just the broader market, right? The price action just hasn't been great. And it's important not to confuse sort of the fundamentals of a product with kind of the ups and downs of a market. In terms of sentiment, we have maybe some additional insight from the internals of the Ethereum Foundation and kind of what goes on within Ethereum broadly. So it feels actually that there's a lot of cause to be optimistic based on some of the changes that are taking place. And so I feel like we've kind of bottomed out. The meme coin mania feels like it's topped out and now is very rapidly kind of declining. And so I'm actually very optimistic about the next next few years around Ethereum.
Sandy?
I would say Ethereum price action has been surprisingly steady despite the entire market ups and downs. I would arguably think of it as a stable coin by now. And the stability is a joke, but it's rooted around the idea that the ecosystem has blossomed and is very, very decentralized. And there's been a lot of community criticism around Ethereum not doing a great job at advocating for its position within the market. But another way to look at it is that there's an open space for anyone within the ecosystem to kind of take that role and present their vision. And when I think about Ethereum infra side of development, there's a lot of things happening under the surface. from increasingly faster and faster ZK proofs being produced to account abstraction innovation and key store and UX improvements. All of these things are done by different teams around the world, and in aggregate, I think in 2 to 3 years' time, will be super clear in setting Ethereum ecosystem as a whole as categorically and also holistically the best blockchain to work on. That is both decentralized, secure, and super scaled. And I don't see any other ecosystem that has that level of vibrancy and different paths to this ultimate vision as Ethereum. On the application level, there's also a lot of innovation. The fact that EtherFi being the 4th largest protocol only started like relatively recently, and so that just shows it's an open economy where new players have a clear shot at bringing something unique to the ecosystem, and there are still lots of open spaces to build.
Maybe the only thing, if I may add, is just there's so much exciting stuff getting built on Ethereum. It really does feel fair to say that it's really the hub around blockchain innovation as far as just interesting protocols, people experimenting with crazy ideas. And the broader TradFi market knows none of it. Like if you talk to a random TradFi market investor, ask them about ETH versus BTC, from their perspective, it's like 2 different tickers. Okay, BTC, oh, that's the big one. ETH is number 2. There's zero understanding effectively about the idea of DeFi, that there are actual products being built on Ethereum that generate revenue. People are building real cash flow generating businesses in this space, and TradFi doesn't, there's very little awareness of that, and I view that as an opportunity. I think we are starting to see the Ethereum Foundation become more vocal and go out there and communicate about all the great stuff that's happening in the ecosystem, and I think that's their role. I think they should be doing more of that, and so the fact that they're starting to makes me feel optimistic about the future.
I like your guys' optimism. It really shows that you've spent some serious time as founders as well, because optimism is one of the best predictors of future success, for example, in professional sports. I think for founders, this is also a very good predictor. I would say I kind of agree with your agreements as well, but for the sake of that discussion, let me take the other side of that coin. The thing that really makes me uneasy as a holder of ETH, where ETH is a serious portion of my net worth as well, is the fact that, I've spent some serious time in startups as well, enough to know that focus and clarity on the principles and the vision, the goal, the one single thing that you want to build is of utmost importance. And then, citing John Charbonneau here, he's done this very good post, one of the shortest posts of his. It's only like 58 minutes of reading, where he basically breaks down the ecosystems that we have right now, some of the biggest ones. We've got ETH, Solana, Bitcoin, and Celestia. And when you look at all of them, everybody has a very, very clear goal in mind for which the infrastructure is very much optimized. So Bitcoin, obviously the digital gold, this is, I would say, self-explanatory. When it comes to Solana, it's increased bandwidth, reduced latency. When it comes to Celestia, it's the big blocks. It's, you're not going to be able to fit the whole internet on a single state machine, so we have to build for modular, we have to bring the costs down of operating something like a rollup. Whereas Ethereum, there is many discussions on, should we optimize for the L1? Should we optimize for the L2? Should we optimize for the optimistic L2s or ZKVMs? Should we try to be something else that we are trying to be right now? So a lot of discussion and not a single clear vision in terms of where exactly we would like to go. Some of the best people in that space, or some of the most vocal people in that space, leaving for a variety of reasons, like Max Resnick going to the Solana land as well. So those things kind of made me uneasy, because I don't see a single clear hypothesis that I would really buy into as an investor, as a builder as well. What's your take on that? Is it the default state of how things should be at this stage of maturity of the ecosystem, that we're just building for a variety of different things? Or is it a structural problem in terms of not knowing what exactly we want to do?
I'll take this one. I love John's research reports. They're very succinct and very clear and phrase the problem he sees super well. And I think his research sometimes includes a very big bag bias as well. And I call it Celestia bag over logic bias. So I think all of these different frameworks to analyze blockchain systems is super interesting. And if you look at any vertical, any single vertical, it's very easy to claim you're the best. So it's very easy for us to claim we are the best L2 because we have the highest uptime. We have the best L2 because we have the fastest ZK proofs. We're the best L2 because we have the fastest finality. And another L2 might talk about, oh, we have the biggest TVL, or we have the most users. There are multiple different, facets to what makes a best blockchain. And I think in the case of Ethereum, if you if you zoom in on any of these single vectors, for example, the size of the block or how fast transactions are, there will be another blockchain that is better on that single vertical. But the way I think about which decentralized system will ultimately prevail in the long term, it's a mixture of all of these things put together. It's on principle, is there still a philosophy around a value choice? Do we pick decentralization and security over scaling? Do we prioritize visibility? Do we prioritize app user experience? All of these value decisions determines the long-term and wider direction of where the ecosystem goes. And in the short term, a plethora of ideas and different pathways to achieve the ultimate goal is healthy. And the best ideas can battle out, and people can vote with their wallets, people can vote with their Twitter accounts, and people can vote with their thesis. And but there is when it comes to technology adoptions, there is a fundamental truth to it, which is Lindy effect matters. And also the truth to it is that I think Ethereum is still in the best place when you think about holistically, security and decentralization, while being as fast and accessible as possible. So I think as long as we're on a collective path to building the best holistic platform, and the social consensus is strong, and there is a very builder-focused culture, I think Ethereum is still got a very strong lead on any other blockchain. So I expect every year there will be a faster blockchain, and every year there will be technology innovation that comes out that makes a new L1 more robust or more faster in some sense. But it's about that. Ethereum is essentially trying to change the plane engine while it's still flying. And it's been flying for a really long time, and it's been flying steadily. And a lot of what we're building with ZK and what we're building in terms of protocol scaling, these things can essentially be plugged back into the plane once it's more mature. And I think a direction that we're super excited to kind of take on as an active member of the Ethereum community is that we're picking out EIPs in the future pipeline of Ethereum development and building it out. So we're building out new pre-compiles we're shipping new pre-compiles on a once every 2 week basis. And what that means is that we can iterate a lot faster and respond to builders' requests and enable more application level innovation. If you remember, the ICO phase was a huge kind of boom in Ethereum activity, and then NFT was another huge kind of period of chain enabled, EIP enabled innovation. We're trying to capture the next one by kind of taking the responsibility in our own hands to kind of build, do more loops of discoverability to find the next big thing. And I don't see any other ecosystem that is decentralized enough or have any other organization outside of the foundation that has that kind of ability and agency to build and contribute to the core protocol. So that's a very long-winded way of saying like super bullish on Ethereum, and the strength lies in its decentralization, and different people see different opportunities, and there are different touch points to discover new builder requirements.
Mike,
maybe I'll
just one point to that one. When it comes to that point, that question, how does it make you feel as a builder, a businessman that's essentially very much tied with the success of Ethereum as a platform that you build on? Is it something that you worry about, or are you as optimistic as Sandy is for the future?
I'll say two things. I think if you're building a real business that has customers that are getting value from your product, you should not be dependent on the ecosystem, the particular blockchain that you happen to build on. Because if you are, then are you really building products for people that value the services that you're providing, or are you really just trying to ride the hype wave? And so, as much as obviously I love Ethereum, our success really is going to be driven by our ability to provide great products for people. I want to make, you mentioned a comment around Solana, IBRL is their North Star, and it's super clear. And I think they've actually done a great job of making it super clear. The North Star around Ethereum, the Ethereum ecosystem, has been roll-up centric roadmap. That's, everything around the development over the last, 5-6 years has really focused on that, enabling tons of layer 2s, big variety of those to build on Ethereum. And we've seen the success of that. We see every major institution building an Ethereum, a layer 2 that settles to Ethereum. So there's success there. The challenge that Ethereum has had is that has come at the expense of scaling the L1. And what makes me optimistic is now it seems like the mindset has shifted, that you need to do both, that you need to scale the layer 1, reduce gas prices, increase transactions per second, while at the same time, of course, supporting the thriving rollup ecosystem. So I don't actually think that, I think the problem has been a communication problem. There needs to be I think lots of folks, let's say, need to do a better job of communicating that North Star and what matters to Ethereum.
Perfect. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that and specifically talk about value. And I think it's great that we have you guys as panelists representing an L2 and a protocol, end user facing protocol built on top of Ethereum and the L2s as well. Because what I would love to get from you is some insights on specifically what value do you get from Ethereum itself, the ecosystem, the L1. For example, starting with you, Sandy, while building something like an L2, why not just go the completely sovereign way and try to build an L1? Why choose L2 and becoming a part of the Ethereum ecosystem these days?
I think first of all, when we were thinking about this issue, is that we think there is a lot of Lego pieces and tooling that are already existing in Ethereum, and that's part of the original dev-focused culture that has arisen. And so there's already a lot of existing tools within Ethereum. It makes no sense to rebuild them. And secondly, I think Solidity is coming up as the default smart contract language for any kind of new innovation within decentralized protocol building. So that's another, I often use the analogy, I think of it as English as being the default international business language, just like Solidity is becoming somewhat the default universal decentralized application building language. And the second thing is because we think the value add, like the initial insight that drove us to build Scroll is that theoretical ZK can be applied to scaling Ethereum. And we designed Scroll with the concept of, and we are close collaborators with the Ethereum Foundation. And there is a version of the ZK EVM that can be upgraded and plugged into L1. So the long-term roadmap, the way we see it, is that L1 will scale, but we don't want EF to, or EF shouldn't take on the sole responsibility of designing like one version that is going to be the best version. So I think there is a vision where this whole garden analogy, where we build a ZK EVM that's working, we test it out in the wild, and we test with multiple protocols building on Scroll, and eventually, if it works and it's very robust, then a lot of the key elements can be plugged back into the L1. And we're contributors to the base rollup, and then the based rollup as a design concept, and also the native rollup design concept. All of these are based on our experience and learnings from building Scroll as a working L2. And so I think the challenges of doing things this way, or the pros of doing it, is that ETH L1 can continue running, and ETH is the only chain that has run continuously during almost the last, 7 or 8 years without stopping. And that's very important for someone to even start thinking about putting a large percentage of their assets on chain. And that is the fundamental basis of that trust. So how do you upgrade this consensus and adding new and nascent technology? I think L2 is a very good testing ground and experimental zone for these things.
I see. So basically an existing garden of infrastructure, but also being able to kind of contribute to the main layer and kind of steer it in a way that's just going to be super sustainable.
Yeah.
Mike, when it comes to you, as you said, the success of the decentralized application basically is basically a project on its own. It's not tightly coupled with the chain that it's based on. And presumably, as you look at the history of technology, the value tends to go upwards to the layer that really has interactions with the end user, which is DApps in this specific case. So why, as a DApp builder, why as a product builder, should I choose the Ethereum ecosystem or Ethereum L1 these days? What does it give you? What's the value that you can get from it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is really simple. The question, I guess, is do you give a shit about crypto? In other words, do you just want to build some centralized thing that has enough decentralization theater that allows you to launch a token and grift? Or do you actually care about the original sort of cypherpunk and crypto values? I do. I actually want to build on a foundation that respects those values, and I think is truly censorship resistant, incredibly neutral. I think these things actually matter. So there's no other platform to build on. I mean, there is no alternative smart contract platform that I think fits the bill if you actually give a shit about crypto. If you're short-term minded, you're thinking the next 6 to 12 months, how can you suck some cash out of the giant decentralized casino? Fine. But if you actually want to focus on building long-lasting products that survive the test of time, then you've got to build on Ethereum.
So let's say I come here from traditional finance and I don't really understand as deeply the decentralization aspect as I would have if I am Web3 native as I am right now. So what would be in terms of economic terms, P&L, or just building a startup, what would be the value, the one-liner that you would give for Ethereum as opposed to other chains? Just replacing the word decentralization with something that's like closer to the traditional business.
I think the market learns its lessons through kind of a series of calamities. As things blow up, the market develops sort of taboos and fears around what not to do. And we're seeing lots of stuff blowing up around us, and we're seeing Ethereum continue kind of happily chugging along. So I think the pitch will be, look, you build on Ethereum because that's where you go not to blow up. And so over time, I think that that memory, that collective memory will kind of converge on Ethereum as the place to be.
A couple of closing thoughts on that. So it seems like some of the most important fundamental aspects are in place. The infrastructure is well developed. We've got a proliferation of things to choose from that we can actually build with. And the security aspect, in terms of making a business that's going to be super sustainable, is just second to none on Ethereum. And I guess the biggest problems that we have right now is communication and making sure the narrative is in line with what we are actually building here. So let's hope we can actually fix this within the next 12 months and ETH can get back to where it should be when it comes to the sentiment on crypto Twitter. Thank you so much, thanks for the panel, and let's see you guys at the venue later on. Thank you.
Welcome to the stage Raj Brahmbhatt, 0x Socratic, James Harris, and Benjamin Shu. This session is presented by Zebu.
Ouais, bah bien. I'm Ben Schiller, Managing Editor of CoinDesk, and we've got a special session here sponsored by Zebu, which is the sponsor also of the main stage here, so thanks all for coming. I've got Raj Brahmbhatt here, and then we've got James Harris from Zodio Custody, and then we've got 0x Socratic here on the far corner there, and he's from DabDab. So I'll let them just explain what they're doing. We're going to hear from Raj in a minute. So what is Zebu exactly? You're a bulk telecoms payments provider. Just explain what you're doing a little bit.
So Zebu at the high level is effectively a mission to get crypto and blockchain technology to the next 1, 2, 3 billion users. And we saw an opportunity to do so specifically through the telecom industry, both at the wholesale level and the retail level, wherein we are working to integrate vertically directly to the cell phone service subscribers all over the world to enable blockchain wallets for them, crypto collateralized credit cards, etc. And then at the wholesale level, we are currently enabling 140 institutional telecom clients to settle value, so payments, cross borders instantaneously and at a very cheap rate. And we have enabled them to do over $6 billion in transactions till date.
That's amazing. You started only in 2023, right?
Yeah. So that's 6 billion in about 18, 20 months. So
that's the power of crypto. So James, Zodio, what do you do?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me on this Zebu stage. So thanks Raj, lovely to be here today. James Harris, Chief Commercial Officer at Zodio Custody. We are a regulated digital asset custodian based in UK, Europe, Hong Kong, Singapore, Australia, Japan, so pretty much global. And we're also owned by a consortium of banks including Standard Chartered, SBI and Northern Trust. So we've got two verticals. The first one is we look after people's balances, and the second one is we also provide technology to banks and financial institutions so that they themselves can be digital asset custodians. We do that predominantly with Standard Chartered, who recently announced an offering.
Okay. 0x Socratic, DabDab, tell us about that.
Cool. Yeah, first of all, thank you for inviting us. So basically, DabDab is a consumer app that aims to address the UX fragmentation in the market today. So TLDR on the numbers, basically there's about like 5,000 to 6,000 DeFi application recorded on DeFi Llama these days, and there's about like hundreds of the layer 2s, layer 1s. To the end users, like they will feel fragmented on when they access the different apps across different chains, seeing like changing different websites, switching between different wallets. So that is basically a consumer app that aims to address the UX fragmentation. And basically, we have integrated about 200 different DeFi applications on across 20 different chains. And basically, user can come to a single platform. They can interact with all of the applications on a single platform. And yeah, well, today we served around 12 million users to date. So and number is still growing.
Great. So what the three of you have in common is you're all doing abstraction or reducing complexity for mainstream companies to get involved with crypto. So let's talk about that theme within your business. How are you doing that for the telecom clients?
Well, I think kind of to add on to Zero X's point is, fragmentation of services is like a massive issue within Web3, whether you're a retail user or an institutional user, you need to be fragmented. You need to go to multiple services in order to achieve one single thing, right? Usually it's like I'll on-ramp from fiat to crypto from one venue, I'll be custodying my assets in another one, I'll be verifying transactions in another venue, such as a scanner, etc. And for most people that aren't necessarily Web3 native, and nor are they highly incentivized to become Web3 native, this is a pretty high barrier to entry. So with Zebu, what we did specifically for institutions was we added a bunch of value-added services into one specific platform. We enabled fiat on-ramp, off-ramp, KYC, KYB, KYT, custodial, non-custodial services, etc., along with invoicing, all in one platform, wherein their experience as a user doesn't really change much from what they were already used to, but they still get the end benefits of using blockchain technology. And I think that's like a pretty core ethos of ours. With while we horizontally expand in other industries such as commodities, music, automated payments, and we even are vertically expanding within Teleco, our main focus continues to remain is how do we give the end benefit of blockchain technology to the larger masses of institutional and retail users, while abstracting them away from the complexity of fragmentation and lack of understanding.
So you're reducing the cost of making bulk payments, B2B bulk payments within telecom companies.
Yes.
So what was the problem they had before that you're now solving with a stablecoin mechanism?
So number one, massive delays using traditional bank accounts simply in order to remit value, because most wholesale service providers are remitting at a global scale, right? Whenever you're remitting at a global scale, the fiat is going through multiple institutions, usually anywhere between 2 to 3. And in the process, those institutions have reserve requirements. And as part of their reserve requirements, they will hold your capital for 1, 2, 3 days at a time, which could lead to a delay of up to 14 days in some cases. So the wholesale service providers were losing out on massive opportunity to pre-purchase capacity at a global scale because of those delays. And additionally, specifically for emerging markets where dollar availability is low, they weren't expensive.
Yeah,
exactly. They weren't able to maximize their potential when it came to margins and acquiring business at a global scale. So what we did was we set up pairs at a local level with ZPU and the local currency, and we started sourcing stablecoin from a much cheaper avenue.
ZBU is your utility
yes.
token?
Yes, ZBU is our utility token. It's used for remittances, on-ramp, in some cases store value, and loyalty and rewards. And that is effectively what enables cheap transactions at a global scale.
Right. So James, what does abstraction mean for you?
Actually, we share another thing in common. We all work with Waxman, the PR agent. They got us together on the stage today, which is super cool. I think abstracting away the blockchain for us is not just something we deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's something that is a core value proposition for us. I mean, our clients are banks, brokers, institutions, fund managers, that kind of thing, and they want exposure to the digital assets without the headaches that come with them, right? They want to explore the paradigms that are possible in digital assets, but they just don't want to do the infrastructure work. So I think we help our clients interact with digital assets in a way that feels familiar to them. And that means, one, we need to know what their flows are and how they do things, because we need to match up things that they do. But we don't want them to be too worried about key management, smart contract, security risk, and that kind of thing. We abstract that away from them. And so really then it boils down to us providing them with a regulated bank-grade custody service where the assets are held in the same way that they're already used to with traditional assets or whatever it is. So there's a couple of ways that we do that. So our first vertical is that we provide balances, hold balances and wallets for our clients. And a client shouldn't really care whether it's BTC or a tokenized fund, right? It's the same. They want to hold the assets, they want to show them on the GUI, they want to be able to know what it's worth, they want to be able to transact if they need to. That's it. They don't need to know the vagaries of what it's like to interact with the underlying blockchain. And then from a SaaS white label perspective, they just want a technology platform that looks like everything else that they've got, right? So that's, I think, a key thing that we do, and that's why banks like Standard Chartered and SBI Group, they all trust us to do that. I always like to joke that custody is actually the most stressful, boring job in the world. And the reason why it's stressful and boring at the same time.
Doesn't sound like a joke.
It doesn't feel like a joke, but welcome to our world. But it's because just to provide a wallet service that has all of the coins and tokens that it needs to hold, all of the services that are attached to it, you have to integrate with everybody, right? You have to understand new protocols. Everyone's got different APIs. You have to take that away. And as a whole, if you look at that, it's a big exercise in abstraction. So that's really what we do. We want to see blockchain really as an enabler, not a barrier. Right. So that's how we look at it, and we like to bring our clients on that journey. It's a really tough journey, so if we can impart some of the lessons we've learned the hard way, so that they don't have to, they can get on what's important to them, which is serving their customers and growing their businesses.
Great. 0x Socratic. So I love the name, by the way. Dab. So it's a DeFi platform that allows people to transact across multiple chains on a single place, right?
Yeah. Basically, like abstraction is the core value of what we offer, and abstraction to us is